How do I keep from betraying myself? For example, a situation last week where I didn't honor what was important to me because I didn't want to say no. It felt like a reflex reaction. Okay, so I don't know exactly what the situation was, and it's okay. We don't need to know. But this whole sense of betraying oneself, I feel like I have a PhD in this. I feel like I've spent uh, a lot of years in subtle and sometimes not so subtle ways betraying myself. And the way that I define that is going against my own knowing, my own truth, my own values, uh, and going into a strategy. So, strategy is anytime we're in non self. So we can create strategies of, being a pleaser, trying to keep the peace with everyone. Maybe one of our strategies is being humorous instead of having that difficult conversation, or a strategy might be going into martyr energy. I got to do it all. No one else can do it. Or even going into victim energy. That is a strategy as well. So we have all of these strategies that the ego has created to essentially keep our reality intact, the way that we perceive because of an identity that has been constructed. And the issue with this is that we're disconnected from greater truth. We're disconnected from oneness. We're disconnected from the energy of creator. And we've gone into I have to figure it out. I have to do it. It's like, in some ways, the world revolves around us, but from a place of separation. This is the ego. And the problem with that is it's very painful. Separation is the most painful of human experiences that we can have. I'm imagining it's the most painful because it's not true. So when something isn't true, it's going to show up in our physiology, in our nervous system, in our energy field as something off. Maybe that's agitation, maybe that's anxiety, maybe that's experiencing depression. Anytime we're perceiving from a non truth, a place of separation, it's not going to feel good. And that's great that that's built in that way, because then whenever we're not feeling good, when we're not feeling in flow, and I'm not talking about having experiences of grief or anger, I'm talking about when we exist from a place perpetually that we operate from these levels. It's different from experiencing an emotion and letting that move through in a natural way. We will glob onto emotions and accentuate them with continued narrative. And that's where things just go blah, 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 on and on and on and on. And that feeds an identity. And then we collect more evidence to support the identity that we don't even want to be living, that we say verbally most of the time that we don't want to be experiencing that. Yet when we really look at what's happening is we're feeding the identity that we don't want to experience over and over and over again. So when we're betraying ourselves, first of all, we've just gone unconscious and we're in separation. Because when we're in oneness, when we're in unity consciousness, knowing that the energy of creation is also me, when we're operating from that place, we no longer have to manipulate ourselves, other people, or reality to get what we want. We only live from that place of the heart, of listening to what is true, of expressing that, of doing the things to um, of doing the things that we are inspired to do. And so we're in greater harmony with ourself. In Ayurveda, we call this prakriti, right? We're in our true nature. And when we're operating from our true essence or our true nature, we make very different decisions. When we're operating from scarcity or lack or fear, we make very different decisions than when we're in the flow, in harmony with who we are. And who we are is an extension of creator, and creator is kind, is loving, is abundance, is peaceful, is these qualities of oneness. So when we're separate from that, we will betray ourselves because we think, oh, well, I need to, do something that I think someone else expects of me or wants me to do to get a response. It's simply pure conditioning. And we only operate out of conditioning when we're not conscious. When we're conscious, we're in choice. When we're not in choice, we're in victimization. We're in victimhood. We're in the energy of I'm a victim. I don't have choice in how I respond or what I say or anything. When we understand that I am the creator, I am the one all day long choosing where my level of consciousness is, how I'm perceiving, what meaning I'm making out of any experience, then it's a much more empowered place to operate from because we realize, oh, wow, we're not swinging in the pendulum of good, bad, right, wrong. There's just levels of consciousness, and things are going to appear very different depending on our vantage point. And then we get to ask ourselves, well, what vantage point would I like to perceive from? Do I want to perceive from a victimized state of everything's happening to me and this shouldn't be happening? And oh my God, the world's awful and it's so hard. We can. That's definitely one of the options, but it's not the only option. And I think that's the most important thing to remember is that we always have choice. From what level do I want to perceive from? What meaning am I making out of this? Meaning isn't inherent in something. We make meaning out of things and we make the meaning from our past. And so if we're living from our past, we're unconscious. We're not creative. We're not in limitless abundance. We're in conditioned past. We're in, oh, I've experienced this before, so therefore it must be this again. No, 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 no. Yes, I've experienced this before from a certain level of consciousness. And now, in this very now moment, I'm choosing differently. I am actually in creative partnership with the universe to say, I want to experience it this way. Let me experience this person that I had such challenge with in a different way, or let me experience, because I'm choosing to set a healthy boundary, no longer betray myself, no longer make my needs last, no longer put my desires on the back burner, no longer say, well, I can't because of X, Y, and Z. What if? So when we live from possibility, from no previous script, it's literally the blank canvas. Now, the ego doesn't want the blank canvas because it's out of control then. It wants to know, who am I? How do I respond to this person and that person? So when it goes into, this example from the question of betraying myself, the first thing to do is get really clear about what identity am I living? Am I playing out when I'm betraying myself? What beliefs do I have about myself or the other person? What's the frequency that I'm carrying? And it can be literally like a reflex reaction, that it just happens so fast because that's the way we've done it before. So slowing things down, and slowing our processes down, that can be walking, talking, creating more space in our day, creating more space in our life, even when life is happening around us. But creating more spaciousness is one of the best ways to slow things down. When we slow things down, we get greater perspective. Now there's like that text coming through, or that email, or that situation, and because I've trained myself to slow down, I don't need to do the knee-jerk thing. I'm actually conscious of like, oh, here's that thing happening again, and it's almost like in slow motion happening, instead of it happened and I responded, or reacted rather, and then it's like, oh wow, what just happened? That didn't feel good, or this isn't even how I want to be living my life. And it's okay when we find ourselves in a pattern. We can always go back. We can go back to that moment in time and watch it. Watch how we played it out, so that we know next time that similar vibration, that similar situation or circumstance arises, we're going to be more awake and alert to going, oh, here's that thing happening again. Not to punish me, not to because I've done something wrong, but because it's an opportunity for greater love and presence to come into my life, for me to choose that, for me to be in a reality that has more possibility than limitation. So that's what I would say to, how do I keep from betraying myself? Be present, pay attention, slow down, and then decide that you're no longer available for the identity of the one that betrays themselves. And so you stop needing the external world, the external reality. You stop needing to create proof and evidence from your life experiences to hold up that identity that is fixated on victimhood. Only a victim betrays themselves. Only someone that feels powerless and projects powerlessness onto other people betray themselves. So when we notice that, when we recognize that, we can clean it up. We can clean up the areas of victimization and that frequency that is very heavy and very debilitating.